Welcome to episode 35 of the Luke Macias Show. I am here to tell you why I think that Republicans are in desperate need of Joe Straus. Kind of a weird position to take, but I promise you this isn't some like random clickbait headline that I'm trying to scoop y'all into. I actually have been sitting down thinking through the reality that what the Republican Party is missing is an honest centrist who self-describes himself as somebody who is in the middle of our party. So let me just back up real quick. When Joe Straus was the Speaker of the Texas House, and I'm wearing his, t-shirt. A friend of mine in San Antonio sent me this as a gag gift, and I was cleaning out my closet several weeks ago, and I found it, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. And then I thought of this conversation that we need to have as Texans, and so it's appropriate. I don't know that it will remain in my closet, to be honest, after this episode, but we'll see. So Joe Straus, when he was the Speaker of the House, came in and told people, in fact, I was talking to a friend of mine in Austin. We were having lunch, and he was relaying a conversation that they had where Joe Straus, in meeting with several pro-life leaders early on in his speakership, said, quote unquote, "Now just remember, I'm not pro-life." Now, Joe Straus still tried to campaign and tell people in his district, I passed pro-life policies and I did this thing. But one of the things I respected about him was that he never actually went out and said, I'm pro-life. He didn't campaign like that. He did let Texas Alliance for Life, a group here in Texas, tell everybody that he was pro-life. But that's not something that he personally championed because honestly, he wasn't. He was somebody who believed the Roe versus Wade should be law of the land. Joe Straus also was a general centrist within the Republican Party. He was somebody who believed that all of those platform issues that we tout, that we want to pass, whether they be tax reform or Second Amendment protections and expansion of those rights, or the rights to the unborn or other important social society issues like addressing these transgender things or some of the sexual revolution that's being pushed here in Texas. He thought that those are the type of issues that should be avoided. Those are the type of issues that aren't good for the brand. And honestly, he's not the first one to think so. We've had this long time battle within the Republican Party of different ideas. And the Democrat Party has the same battle going on where you have individuals who say, I don't want to push these principles and these policies, and other people who say, this is what makes us Republicans. In fact, not only that, but these policies, if enacted, will make for a better society. They will make for more opportunity for individuals and citizens to flourish within the state of Texas. So there's these two predominant trains of thought, these two ideas that are in constant battle within the Republican Party, and they will be for 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now. But why do we need Joe Straus right now? Here's the difference. Since his departure, what we now have are individuals within the Republican Party who are taking very centrist positions. In fact, some who are pushing policies that were pushed by the Obama administration against gun owners, or they're avoiding issues like abortion. They're avoiding issues on immigration. They're avoiding the fiscal sanity when it comes to our budget and other things like that. But the difference is they're not telling everyone we have a more moderate approach to governance. They're not telling people we want to move to the middle or they are in the middle. What they're saying is we're going to do these things, but we expect Republicans to call us strong conservative Republicans. We expect Republicans to identify us as their conservative leaders. And that's not something that Joe Straus ever attempted to take the mantle of. He didn't expect conservative grassroots Texans across the Lone Star State to champion him as their leader. But that's what we're currently being told we have to do. There's a removal of honesty from within our party. There's a removal from the ability to have an honest dialogue about the battle of ideas, which makes the Republican Party great. That is a problem. The new approach has been to silence the heretics, to take anybody who says these are principles and policies that we should advocate for and push, and we should not push these more centrist or liberal policies, are being told to be quiet. They're being told to not speak out. They're being told to not articulate those stances because that would show disunity within our party. But the problem is that what many conservatives realize is that if we champion talking points from the other side, they already have control of Texas. So instead, what we should be doing is articulating what Republicans believe, articulating what our platform stands for as the Republican Party. So why do we need Joe Straus? We need Joe Straus because it's easier if you have somebody who says, I'm a centrist and here's my governing philosophy. And then conservatives can have an honest and open dialogue about the direction of where Texas goes and where the Republican Party takes it, if it maintains its leadership. But instead, what we have now is a lot of confusion. It's a lot of gray area. It's causing tremendous amount of strife. It's causing a tremendous amount of friction and fractioning going on within conservative circles, lawmakers, activists, donors, organizations. All, I believe this friction is occurring, all having friction within them because of the lack of a pure dialogue, of the lack of an honest conversation, of the lack of ability to simply talk about those in our party that want to govern from a centrist perspective, because they're not willing to say what they actually want. The sooner we can return to an honest conversation where Republican lawmakers, activists, donors, and organizations can have an honest conversation about who in our party wants to govern from the middle and who in our party actually wants to govern according to the principles that the platform says, the better. And the sooner we're going to be able to heal the rifts, the sooner we're going to be able to unite behind a message, the sooner we're going to be able to identify those people that we align with and work tirelessly to elect those same individuals. That's what we need to do in Texas moving forward. Quickly, if y'all did not listen to last week's episode, episode 34, it was our most downloaded episode ever. Okay, it was the conversation with Matt Rinaldi and Jonathan Stickland. If you're watching this on Facebook, unfortunately, Facebook for some reason didn't let us upload the video. It's some weird problem. We are communicating with them, but it is on Matt Rinaldi and Jonathan Stickland's Facebook page. You can go to either of those pages and watch it. You can go to our YouTube channel. Please consider subscribing to that channel, but also watch that conversation. Honestly, we estimate that actually people who sat and thoroughly listened to the entire conversation is north of 3,000 to 5,000 people here in the Lone Star State of Texas. And that's everybody from elected officials that we know have watched the conversation to activists and donors and Republican leaders. It's exciting. It's a good conversation to have. If you haven't listened to that conversation, I'd really encourage you to go do so. You can also go to any of the podcast platforms that you listen to us on or subscribe to us to, and that same conversation will be found. So that was episode 34. Please do that. Guys, I can't thank you enough for how much encouragement we've continued to get, even over the last week. People who I wasn't aware were listening to our podcast on a weekly episode, text messaging us, commenting, posting, emailing me saying, hey, I've loved the content that you're putting out. I'm listening to it. It's getting me re-engaged in the process. That's our goal. There's a lot of conservatives who are thinking about checking out. There's a lot of conservative Republicans in Texas who are thinking about disengaging from the fight, from the battle. And I remind everybody, please remember the quote from Abraham Kuyper when he said that when principles that run against your deepest convictions begin to win the day, then battle's your calling, and peace has become sin. That is what I believe conservative Republicans are called to engage in. That's the spirit I believe we should be holding to right now. And I hope that we don't need Joe Straus to actually come back in order to have an honest conversation. But I do hope that we can recognize that one of the benefits that united conservatives when Joe Straus was speaker was the fact that we had a more honest dialogue about who in our party wanted to govern from a centrist perspective and kill conservative policies, and who in our party actually wanted to advance what the platform stood for. We don't need to silence those voices within our party who want to advance conservative policy. We need to have an open and honest debate. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. Next week, we have a great conversation coming to you with Greg Brockhouse, who ran for mayor in San Antonio. I think y'all will really enjoy it. He brought some incredible insights into what can be done to change urban areas within the state of Texas, the type of conservative message that resonates in those areas. If you're somebody who's ever thought about running for local office at a city council level, he gives some great insights into the type of things that you should be doing right now to plug into your community. It was a great conversation, and one of the best things is he actually talked about the type of messaging that conservatives need to be using, and the fact that we need to create our own sandbox in his way, and we need to message our message. We need to not jump into the opponent's sandbox and fight on their terms. This is a great conversation y'all will really enjoy. Next week If you have not subscribed to our videos, you can follow our Facebook page. You can please subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, any of the other platforms you have. Leave a review. That just helps other people who are searching for these type of conversations to find us when they're looking in the different podcast platforms. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great week. God bless you.